Okay. Welcome, everyone. It's 6 o'clock, and I will call to order the Plainfield Charter Township Board meeting for February 28th, 2022. We'll start our meeting with an invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Frank.
Everyone would bow their heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for you being in our lives, Lord. We pray that we will pull from your wisdom in everything we do, including helping run this township. We pray for this in Jesus' name. Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Frank. Next item is public comment. So if there's anyone in the audience, and welcome everyone, we're not used to this kind of a crowd. If there's anyone who'd like to make any comment about any township business at this point, if you'll raise your hand, I'll acknowledge you. And seeing no one, then I guess I'll just close the public comments and we'll move on to the review of our consent agenda. If there's no questions from the board, I would seek approval for our agenda, including the consent agenda and accounts payable.
I move to approve the agenda, including the consent agenda and accounts payable.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Frank. Support from Bill. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Brinkman.
Yes.
Mrs. Morrow. Yes. Mr. Hagedorn.
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff.
Yes.
Ms. Beatty.
Yes.
Ms. Postmus. Yes. And Mr. Coleman.
Yes. Okay, moving on the agenda. First item is a presentation from the Kent Conservation District. Cameron?
Thank you. So while they come up to get their presentation ready, just want to introduce to the board that this is a group that we have worked with in the past. They have helped us out, especially in some of our newer park areas. They've helped us with some invasive plant species that have entered the park, and so they have, free of cost to the township, helped address some of those issues. So we really value their expertise and their assistance in this way. So they're going to talk about some of their programs tonight and what they do for our community.
How did you link it? Oh, there. Great.
No internet. Of course. What's your Wi-Fi? The guest one? Yeah. That's funny, it worked a minute ago. That's how it always goes though, right? Free PC2.
We had it on a jump drive and it didn't work on the jump drive, so backup computer.
2 junk drives, actually.
Yeah. But I'm Jessie Schulte. I'm the district manager with the Kent Conservation District, and I included in your packet a little brochure about some of our services and also our annual report that highlights our work with USDA and the Farm Bill programs. So today we just wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you and just remind you that we're here serving your community. Kent Conservation District has been serving Kent County since 1947, and our mission is to protect and enhance the natural resources of Kent County, and we do this through voluntary programs. So we're run by various grants, and most of our work is through NRCS, USDA, where we help agricultural producers and landowners sign up for Farm Bill programs, so like cover crops, filter strips, grass waterways, and we have engineers that help design those. So today we wanted to talk to you about a special program that we run, which is a Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area. So if you've ever heard of the acronym CISMA, we are your local strike team that's part of this 7-county CISMA. And what we're focused on is early detection and rapid response of invasive species that will impact recreational opportunities, property values, aesthetics, and infrastructure. So economically speaking, our mission is to protect and enhance the natural resources of Kent County, but we also know that there's an economic side to this. So it not only impacts a wildlife habitat, but it impacts property values. And our concern is, and one of the reasons why we're here today, is to alert you to specific invasive species that have been spotted in southern states or also in southern parts of Kent County. And if we can address these invasives early on, so if you look at this curve here, by the time we normally address these invasives, they're likely to cost a lot of money to control. So we want to try to get them early before that's a problem, and we have to spend so much money. A successful example of a control effort is the Asian Longhorn beetle. This beetle is pretty large size, and it drills a hole about the size of a pencil lead, and it can impact a lot of different tree species, wipe out all of our maples. We know the Asian Longhorn wiped out all of our ash trees. We had the elm disease, then we had ash trees. And Asian Longhorn beetle was actually stopped and eradicated in Ohio and in New York. So they spotted it, contained it, remember rapid response with local efforts from people that are aware of these species. So that's just a positive example. So another reason, why should you care? Again, we're bringing it back to costs for the townships and for the county. St. Clair County Road Commission spent about $80,000 a year to control Phragmites grass. If you've seen that one as you go down towards Chicago, that can actually be an impact for fire management too, because it grows in these dense thickets and can be a fire hazard. So it's a cost issue if we can get it early. This is just a little snapshot of where our funding comes from. Again, we're run on grant programs, state-funded programs, but we also do some for-hire work. So we've been treating in Cascade, Burton and Peace Park, and we're starting to do work with the Grand Rapids Charter Township. And so we kind of have just a diversity of funding that keeps our program going. And we were started in 2011, actually on the ground treatments through a Michigan Invasive Species Grant Program grant. And that's the grant that has kind of helped Plainfield Township out. The Michigan Invasive Species Grant Program, what it allows us to treat is state-regulated species. So these are ones that the state are kind of prioritizing. It doesn't necessarily mean these are the top priorities in your backyard personally, but they're knotweed, black swallowwort, Japanese stiltgrass, and Chinese yam are the ones that we're working on with that. And we're asking homeowners to pay a small cost share. We've also picked up a grant working in the state game areas. Like you had mentioned, we've been doing some treatments in your Premier Park, the Japanese knotweed, under the Michigan Invasive Species Grant Program. So that's DNR funds that have helped us control and work on that species. As well as the White Pine Trail. So some of the White Pine Trail volunteers have told us about knotweed growing along the corridor, and so we've been treating that and trying to reduce it, because once it spreads, it's really hard to contain it against the cost. Okay, yeah, now I wanted to turn it over to Ryan to talk to you specifically about a couple invasives we're really concerned about.
Yeah, so we could talk to you all day about invasives and early detection species, but we're just going to highlight two here that we do a majority of our work with, well, at least the first one, and then the second one is a more early detection species and why we should look out for it and increase our survey efforts. So the first is invasive bittersweet vine. This is a woody vine that climbs trees. It can grow up 60 feet up a tree. It grows extremely fast on a hot summer day. It can grow a full inch in one day. I've seen infestations that are 20 to 30 years old, and the vines are like this. What it does, it grows up the tree and constricts it. It cuts off that vascular tissue from transporting nutrients up the tree, and within a few years, the tree will die. It's a safety concern because as it constricts the tree and kills those large limbs, the limbs can fall and drop. Yeah, definitely an issue. It thrives in full sunlight. So whenever there's a tree that goes down in the forest or an oak wilt treatment site that opens up a big area of sunlight in the forest. It can thrive if introduced to those areas. And it was introduced as an ornamental. We like to blame Martha Stewart because she would use bittersweet in her wreaths, and everybody liked the berries, and it kind of just took off in this area. So here's just a few more pictures. On the left, you can see just how nasty it can get. And then on the right, it has this aproning effect where it kind of covers the tree entirely. It doesn't allow it to photosynthesize. And then it'll produce berries in the fall, which weighs it down and will also cause those limbs to fall and that tree to die. So unfortunately for this plant, there are no state funds to treat it on private land. So if a homeowner has this plant on their property, one thing they can do is reach out to us, and they can hire us to treat it for them. As of this year, we have worked with Cascade Township, and they have stepped forward and put together an agenda towards tackling this invasive in their local parks, their township parks. Ada Township has also done this. We're working with them and trying to do a more comprehensive approach to tackle this species. So it's been really great working with these townships and seeing them step up, rise to this issue. And here's just another picture of how it can strangle the tree, and the tree will grow around it, but ultimately it will die.
Do any of you guys know this species? Do you have it in your yard? Okay. Tom was saying he knows it. Okay.
Yeah, it's all over here. The black swallowwort. So this is one that I've treated in East Michigan for a year. I've seen it extremely bad. That bottom picture, I've seen that in person in East Michigan. There's not really many sites to my knowledge like that in West Michigan yet, but this is another one that is extremely aggressive. It has a thick waxy coating, so it's really difficult to control. And it also has a couple of other issues that we can talk about. So a quick ID, it has opposite leaves, and it's a vine that grows along the ground, so it doesn't climb the trees like the Oriental Bittersweet, but it grows extremely aggressively, like I said, and densely. It'll outcompete any native vegetation. We've seen it a lot in garden beds. We've treated it a lot in people's garden beds, especially in Lowell. There's a pocket that we've been treating. And then we've seen a little bit in downtown Grand Rapids as well. So early intervention, like we were saying, is the best measure, and we want to get on top of this one. And I'll tell you why. Because this plant, it actually is visually very similar to the native milkweed. And that's an issue because the monarch butterfly lays its eggs on milkweed, and when it mistakes swallowwort for milkweed, those eggs hatch and the monarchs don't have the nutrition that they need to survive. So we're noticing even larger decreases in the monarch populations on top of the typical trends that we've seen. This is just a little distribution map of it. So like I said, East Michigan, it's really bad. It's starting to become more of an issue in West Michigan. So this is a great time to prioritize its treatment and its funding. Yeah.
And I know you always say it's poisonous to livestock too, so we don't want it in pastures, and it's poisonous to dogs if they eat it, so that's another reason.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, if you do see these plants, or even if you want to learn to identify them, there's a free phone app that you could download right now. It's called MISSIN, the Midwest Invasive Species Identification Network, or Information Network. And with that app, you can report any known species, any known invasive species that you come across. And if you don't know how to identify it, there's actually really useful modules to help you become a master at identifying that plant. So it's a really useful app, and we really encourage the citizens to do their part and learn what's growing on their property. So Just a little bit about the services that we offer. We have for-hire services where we treat the bittersweet vine and the swallowwort, and Japanese knotweed is another really big one that we actually have state funds to treat. So the state has deemed it an issue, and we get MISGP funds for that. And then we'll treat a handful of other, or quite a variety of others. We also offer site consultations, so you can hire us and we'll come to your property and let you know what invasives you have, what native growth you have. If you want like a long-term land management plan, we can help you get that rolling. And we also offer free information, no cost. If you want to know what's growing on your property and you don't want to hire us, just shoot us an email, shoot us a picture. We'll let you know what's growing. And we'll also share with you the best way to control that species of concern. So our strike team, which is I'm a part of and I coordinate, we are all pesticide applicator licensed. We have gone through rigorous training for it. And I'd like to consider us professionals. We were very careful with herbicide. We know the proper protocol for mixing and all that. So kind of reiterating what I was saying, a couple ways that you could step up and help this invasive issue in West Michigan is learn how to manage the invasives that you have on your own property. You could download the Missin app and map points at your favorite local park. You could also help fund our survey efforts so we can find these pockets of invasives before they really take off. And then you could also help host an upcoming service learning day, which we host a handful of those throughout the year. And here's a few that we have coming up. March 19th at Cannonsburg. We'll be doing some invasive cutting, some autumn olive, honeysuckle, bittersweet.
We just did one at Burton Park for Cascade where they emailed all the neighbors in the neighborhood, and then we actually trained the neighbors on how to properly identify and treat it themselves. So we sell like a toolkit so that the neighbors can actually learn to control it. And we have a Weggy Foundation grant to do that, so that wouldn't be a cost to you if you wanted to help co-host a citizen training.
Yeah. And then March 28th, we have our annual showcase. So if you're interested in the Conservation District and you want to learn a little bit more than this brief presentation is sharing, we'd love to see you there. We'll be talking about all our achievements throughout the entire district, not just the strike team. I don't know if there's anything you want to add on that.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. And then we have our native plant sale, April 3rd. So just some goals moving forward. As we said, we'd love to co-host some landowner trainings for citizens that are interested in tackling invasives on their property, or even just learning how to identify them at their favorite parks. You could also hire our team to control these species that I've shared with you. So in addition to knotweed and Phragmites in your parks and your roadways. You could increase the surveying of these early detection species that have not yet been established in Plainfield, and will save you money down the road. You could also partner with us on future survey and control work along floodplains and high-quality habitats that we don't want to see be degraded for numerous reasons, biodiversity, just aesthetics. People love those areas. And then you could also hold a free training with your city public works employees that we will come and we'll give a presentation somewhat like this, go more in depth with some early detection species and the species I've shared with you, and also teach them the best management practices so that they don't always have to call us. They're already, on the payroll, they see that species and they can just, tackle it as it comes. So, yeah.
So I guess the other thing I was going to mention is, so we're working to expand our program. I started out as a volunteer, 5 years ago, and it was only $5,000, and now we're up to a $100,000 treatment. And we've been working to talk to the Kent County Commissioners, so every year we give them a presentation as well. For the first time, they just gave us $25,000, and then the state, we finally were able to get some operational budget for $40,000. So we're moving along in our efforts, but we always want to remind every single township what we're doing for you, because we have a publicly elected board of directors ourselves. And then just ask how we can help you with your missions to keep your green spaces and your community healthy and safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Questions from the board? Jack?
Tell us about your annual plant sale. Where is it held and what do you sell?
Excellent. Yes, we're one of the only conservation districts. So we were started after the Dust Bowl, and so we've been selling trees since 1947. And the last few years, we've sold only Michigan native trees. We're at the corner of Leonard and Beltline, right across the street from Meyer Gardens. So April 23rd is our trees and shrubs, and then May 14th is our wildflowers. And that actually brings in a good bit of our budget, so probably about $100,000, and then there's costs for the tree seedlings. But that's our fundraiser, and also it's a habitat creation. We're trying to get more people to plant Michigan native trees. Thanks for asking.
Now, is the wildflower sale held at the same place?
It is, just at the corner of Leonard and Beltline. Yep, right next to Meyer Gardens. There's lots of parking, and we have 2 large growers that provide us with Michigan genotype plants. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, well, Jesse, Ryan, thank you very much for your presentation. Look forward to achieving some of these goals with you guys.
Great, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Longer password. Yeah, a little longer. Okay, next item on our agenda is a presentation from our fire department, Chief McKellar and team.
Thank you for letting the fire department do the ceremony here at the town meeting. This is, of course, a process that's been in the making for the last few months with me coming to the board asking for three full-time equipment operators. They're finally on board. And actually, we're going to do 4 tonight because one of those equipment operators are being promoted already to lieutenant. So actually, it's 4 that we're going to swear in on their promotions tonight. So I just wanted to thank you for that, and thank you for the support that you've given me over my tenure here and in the past, and the support you've given to the full fire department and helping us tackle the problems that we do have with staffing and stuff. So thank you. Tonight, I have the honor and privilege of introducing the 4 newly promoted members of the fire department to the board tonight. I'm truly honored to do that. We're here to swear-in ceremony for 4 members in their new positions. The fire service is one of the world's most honored, yet the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous professions, and one of the best jobs to have. And I love it. So, and pretty much these guys probably feel the same way I do. When there is emergency in a community, the fire department is one of the first on the scene to start taking care of that problem for our citizens and our visitors to the township. Like I said, I have 4 new guys that are making that commitment to be promoted into higher positions. 3 of them going, 4 of them coming out of the firefighter rank, up to 3 into equipment operators and 1 into lieutenant. Nick Grady, Dominic Geiger, and Jason Dykstra are being promoted to equipment operators, while Eric Buchanan, He started as the equipment operator, but like I said, he's being promoted up into the lieutenant's position due to a retirement that we've just accepted. So gentlemen, I want you to listen to the vows that you're going to take tonight, and listen to those words: respect, dignity, working as a team with your peers, compassion, courage, and for mostly your integrity. Township Clerk, would you like to come and swear them in?
Thank you, Chief. If could get Nick and Dominic and Jason to come on up. Start with you guys first. And I have to say, what an honor and a privilege it is for me to give you guys your oath of office. Truly, the job that you are doing is a calling. Not everybody can do it. And speaking from experience, you guys will always be the ones that run towards the danger and not away from it. So thank you so much, and thank you to your families. It's a sacrifice on their part, and I know they worry about you guys, but thank you for all you're going to do. So if you would, raise your right hand and say I, and state your name. Okay. Solemnly swear to do my duty as an equipment operator for the Charter Township of Plainfield. So, I won't make it so long this time. To serve the citizens of Plainfield Township with compassion, courage, and integrity. To serve my commanding officers with respect and dignity. To work as a team with my peers. And to nurture and develop those placed under me. I will uphold the laws and the Constitution of the United States of America, the state of Michigan, the Charter Township of Plainfield, and the mission, vision, and core values of the Plainfield Township Fire Department. Almost done, guys. I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties as an equipment operator of Plainfield Township Fire Department. So help me God. Congratulations. Okay, and Eric Buchanan, come on up, Lieutenant. Eric, thank you for your service. Thank you. If you would raise your right hand, please. I, Eric Buchanan, solemnly swear to do my duty as Lieutenant for the Charter Township of Plainfield.
Plainfield Charter Township.
To serve the citizens of Plainfield Township with compassion, courage, and integrity. To serve my commanding officers with respect and dignity. To work as a team with my peers and to nurture and develop those placed under my command. Nurture
And
develop
develop
those placed under my command. As an officer, I will uphold the standards of my profession and position while continuing to search for new and improved methods. I will uphold the laws and the Constitution of the United States of America, the state of Michigan, the Charter Township of Plainfield. It's a tongue twister, I'm sorry. The Charter Township of Plainfield. And the mission, vision, and core values of the Plainfield Township Fire Department. I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties as a lieutenant of Plainfield Township Fire Department. So help me God. Congratulations, Lieutenant. We should have reversed that ahead of time. Thank you, Chief.
Yep. Gentlemen. This time, I'm given the opportunity to Township Supervisor, a few comments and a prayer.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Kathleen. Most of all, thank you, Nick, Dominic, Jason, and Eric. On behalf of the Township Board and the community as a whole, I'd like to welcome you to your new roles. I'd like you to know that we respect your decision to serve, and we're deeply grateful for your call to service. I'd like to offer a prayer for our new and promoted firefighters. Dear God, we pray for these newly promoted members of the fire department. We pray that you will protect each of them as they go into uncertain incidents and dangers as they fulfill their duties they have sworn here to uphold. Holy God, give them clarity of mind to recall the training they have had. Give them nerves of steel as they encounter stressors in their routine jobs that most people can never even imagine. Give them the strength and courage to do the job they have sworn and affirmed to do here today. Holy Father, keep their families in your great arms of love as they go into harm's way as they do their jobs. Lord, keep them from danger and keep them safe. Through thy holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I'm proud to recognize the commitment and sacrifice you have endured by providing the level of competency, compassion, and professionalism to the Plainfield Fire Department. This commitment to the fire service involves the sacrifice of leaving your family and home to adhere to required instructional hours, continuing education, and countless hours of preparatory time. Moreover, your brothers and sisters of Plainfield Fire Department wish to recognize the sacrifice your family will continue to struggle with as they cope with your new 24-hour shift schedule, and even worse, the call of alarm. At all times of the day, without regard to holidays, birthdays, church, family, and social events, or even the evening dinner. The fire service is a noble calling, one which is founded on mutual respect and trust between firefighters and the citizens they serve. To ensure the continuing integrity of the fire service, the highest standards and ethical conduct must be always maintained. I close with the utmost confidence of your commitment to continue upholding this tradition. Please accept your badges as a commitment to uphold these values and wear it with honor. Jason Dykstra, front and center. Do you have somebody? I have it. All right.
Bring mom too, though.
Okay. No. Turn around and show the board. Right. Equipment operator, Nick Grady. Equipment operator, Mr. Dom Geiger. Okay. Lieutenant Eric Buchanan. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for your commitment again. It's a privilege to have you under part of the fire department. Your commitment, your integrity, your professionalism shows, and that's why you're in the position you're at. So thank you very much. And if the board does not know, we did accept a retirement of one of our very long time, not as long as me, but lieutenant. His last day will be Thursday. So Eric will start next week on the 8th, right? Correct, on the 8th, so. And Dominic and Jason are already in, on shift work. Nick will start Sunday. So we're all looking forward to growing the family. So thank you for the time.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chief. Any comments from the board before we, Kathleen, I know you said you had something.
I just want to tell you guys how proud I am of you. We've got the best fire department in the county. You guys have a stellar reputation. I've done a ride-along with you guys. The way you conduct yourselves out in the field is amazing. The way you treat our citizens and residents it's awesome. I'd love to see what you guys do, and you guys are truly our heroes. Along with our law enforcement, we've got the best here, so thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Kathleen. Jack?
I agree with her, and I want to add a few things. I can see by your presence here and by your activity in front of us that you truly are a band of brothers. I appreciate that very much. Also, I know that the extensive preparation that you have to go through to reach the position that you're in, and I know that that's not easy, as was stated by your chief, especially not knowing what kind of emergencies you will face in the future. You prepare as best you know how, but the future is unknown. So I appreciate your serving. Thank you.
Anyone else? Kathy? No?
I will just say thank you, and what a privilege to watch this being rewarded to you, and thank you for all that you do for all of us.
Yes, Susan.
I too had a chance to go on a ride-along one morning, and fortunately, even though the alarm went off twice, is that right, Kyle? There were no exciting things happening. And, but I knew that everyone was totally prepared when the alarm went off. And it wasn't until the call was stopped that I took a deep breath and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. So there are people who can do what you do, and and those of us who can't appreciate you all very, very much.
Frank?
To serve others is one of the highest callings. We're called to do that by God, to serve others. And it's not an easy thing. It's a blessing and a burden. And I just appreciate you dedicating your lives to this. Thanks.
Bill?
I'd certainly like to congratulate each and every one in the fire department. I've worked with you about 9 years now, and you perform admirably. Mine is an administrative type of position. Yours is a life-death type of situation at many times, and you've done that with great fortitude and great performance. Keep up the good work, and let's have the best fire department, and not just the county or the state, but in the United States.
Thank you, Bill. On a personal note, some of you may know this, may not know this, but my experience goes back a little ways, and my friend Jeff Drake stood over me when I was having a real problem. After some emergency surgery, I'm sitting here today, and so I deeply appreciate all of you, and you all know that. Kyle, Pat, all of you. To the wives, to the family, I have a little experience in somewhat of a related field. It's a tough go. Keep a smile on your face. Help them along. They're going to need it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting everybody. Thank you. All righty, how about if we move on with our new business? First item on our agenda is to consider the purchase of a stalker radar speed board from Applied Concepts. Cameron?
Tom? So this is an item that I would call one of those quality of life amendment type of things that we would have for our township. It's a nice to have, not a need to have, but it's something that our residents appreciate. So our community policing officer, Craig Holbrook, brought this to our attention that the county has a speed radar board that we are able to use, but it is one for the entire county, and we're one of 21 townships. So we don't always have access to it when we want to, and often there's a long wait for it. It has been recommended by the Sheriff's Department that we acquire our own based on the amount of requests that they get from our residents for this type of service. So that's why Craig has gone out and received quotes, looked at the type of equipment that he would appreciate using, something similar to what the county already has that they're familiar with using, and brought those to me to look at. And so we're bringing forward of the comparable equipment, the lowest bid of the three. So I guess the real question for you is this something, because this isn't something we talked about at budget time, this came up after that point, is this something that you feel comfortable, if you say yes, this is a quality of life element that we need for the township, we have the funds to make that happen within our capital improvement budget. So that's the real question before you, since this was not a budgeted item for this year. Craig's with us tonight. If you want to come up and talk a little bit about how this operates, how you use it in the community, and the value.
Good evening. So basically, yeah, we have two of these trailers for the county. The issue is people call and they'll complain and say, hey, we have speeders up and down this road. We put it on a list, and that trailer might get out there 6 months later, 8 months later. It just depends how long that list is. And then it's going to get taken away, and that street or that neighborhood is not going to see another one for probably another year, maybe 2 years. So if we had one where I was able to control it within the township, all these complaints that I'm getting from different neighborhoods, I could take the trailer out, put it there for a week, maybe supplement it with some traffic stops to show that it's not just empty threat. It's not just a speed board where high score wins, right? So we could sit out there, supplement it with actual patrols, make traffic stops, take it away, put it to another spot where we're getting complaints, and we can shuffle it back and forth and bring it back into places more often than using just the county-owned ones. Cascade, GRT, and Ada, they all pitched in. They bought one within their East Precinct kind of unit that they got going on. Gaines Township bought one, same model that we're talking about, the stalker radar. And they all seem to enjoy it. So, yeah. Any questions?
Okay, before we do our board discussion, I should open the floor for public comment. Anybody want to? No, we have no public comment? Wonderful. I'll close that part. So we'll just go to the board discussion. Susan, you were raring to go, so go for it.
I thought you were making eye contact there. Where is it going to be housed?
So that's something that we would have to talk about, whether it be at some sort of township property, whether we keep it at the county. I'm not 100% sure on that one yet. I'm not sure if maybe Cameron can chime in a little bit on that.
We'll find spot within township, so he doesn't have to haul it back down to Ball Street every between uses. So we'll find a spot for it. Some of it too, it's battery operated, so he'll need to charge it between uses from time to time. It's good for what, a week or?
It said 7 to 10 days that the battery's good for, so.
So we'll have to do an overnight recharging somewhere on one of our township facilities, so we'll make a place for it.
One thing that I left out, there's a data collection on it, so we can look at, say, between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on this street is the highest speed time, so then we can, either I can come out, or if it's after my hours, if I don't flex my hours, I can get the road patrol to go out there and supplement enforcement during those times, so we can actually track when the major times of speeding are. in
But
these certain
there's no
neighborhoods.
camera associated with it,
There's not a camera, no.
okay? And the other part is, now that there would be one in this general geographic area, might we be asked by neighboring communities for use of the equipment?
They could always ask, but that would be up to you guys ultimately whether you were willing to let them use it or not. I would guess.
Well, we
Probably
do
not.
know that different communities share a boat when we need it, so I was equating that to the speed, tracker. I think it's an excellent investment, and think every single one of us can tell you a place to go put it, too. Yep. Thank you.
Definitely my number one complaint that I get.
Jack, you have anything?
Yeah. I noticed the MPH has a bid that's comparable, except that they do not include shipping in their bid. Is that why the Stalker one that we got from this the vendor that we chose, is that why we chose that, or is there a compatibility thing?
Ultimately, between the three different ones, they were all very comparable. There were overall, I brought 4 different companies with multiple models from certain different ones. We ended up knocking it down to 3 based on the options that we wanted and lower cost. Between this Mile Per Hour Industries and Stalker, they both seem to have about the same features, but the Stalker ended up coming in a little bit cheaper, and the other units that we have are already Stalkers, so we're familiar with those units as well.
Okay.
And then the Stalker one, actually, he said if we're patient and we're not in a hurry to get it, he might be able to do like a bulk shipment and bring down that shipping cost even a little bit more, maybe $500 or so, give or take. Although with gas prices skyrocketing, we'll see.
Yeah, good. What about the life of the unit? There's probably a battery life, and then there's a unit life. Do you have any idea what that is?
I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know the full life on them. I know on the Stalker radar, there's a 24-month warranty. I'm not sure what it would cover after that, if there's no warranty after 24 months period, or if it's a 24-month warranty with some sort of limited warranty afterwards. But as far as lifespan, I'm not sure, but we've had the county ones for a while and we haven't had any issues or very minor issues.
Is the battery fully covered under the warranty for that 2-year period?
That is something we'd have to look through the fine print on to see. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I know they sell extra batteries. I want to say they were, Cameron, if you remember, I want to say they were only a couple $100.
Oh, is that all? Oh,
Yeah, some of these units had options for a second, like a backup battery or a second battery, so you can run it longer in one location. And so, yeah, a couple $100 for those options, so.
reason I ask, I own an electric bike, and the battery for that is $500, so I was thinking these were comparable, but not.
Sure.
Okay.
Frank?
Yeah, I would be interested in the life of the unit as well. I'd like to know that. We're buying one, and then I guess we have to decide where to put it. Don't put it in Comstock Park, please. I know some people live there that maybe they go a little too fast. But seriously, I'd like to know the life of the unit. We're investing $8,000. If the unit lasts 2 to 3 years, I am not sure it's worth the investment. And then we have to decide where we're going to put it. And I know the good thing about it is I know we all have a tendency when we see something like that, we slow her down. And so it is good for that. I'm just trying to just weigh the investment versus the life of the unit. And even if we have one to our township, it's still one, and there's probably several, well, not probably, there's several places it could go, and I guess we could work on some kind of schedule and rotation on that, of course.
So my thoughts on a rotation was keep it out in place because there's 7 to 10 day lifespan.
One more time.
My idea for the rotation, because it's 7 to 10 day battery span before
Sure.
you need a recharge. I was thinking, Cameron and I talked about it, about leaving it out in a spot for the week, Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, whatever it is, and then go back, charge it, put it out into another spot for a week. Kind of do weekly shifts based on the complaints that I'm getting or the areas that I'm noticing that we're getting more speeding complaints or more speed-related crashes.
And are there, I mean, I don't know if there's more traffic probably during the week than the week. I'm not sure when there'd be more traffic, but I think that we would want it out when there was more traffic. I don't know if does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we could, do we know that right now when we have more traffic? And if not, I guess after using this for a while, it could tell us that information.
Yeah, so like I said, there's the data collection, so we can look and see possibly how many cars pass through during these times, when the highest times of speeding were.
Yeah, so we're not
all that
charging it
stuff.
on like the highest,
Right.
speeding times. I mean, that's a side issue, but, so yeah, I'd like to know the life of the unit. And the life of the unit, of course, is probably longer than, well, I don't know if it's longer than the battery or not, but usually that would be true. But I would just like to know that.
I could take a look, whenever you guys move on to the next thing, I can take a look, do a little bit of research while we sit
That
here,
would be good,
and then
because,
try
I
to give
mean,
you guys the answer before.
I think it's a good investment, but, it depends how long it lasts.
Right.
So, thanks.
Greg,
Or-
do you know how long the county has had their current units?
I don't know exactly how long we've had them. I know we've had them since well before I started there.
Yeah,
I've been there close to 5 years, and we've had the same ones. So
So they're lasting at least 5 years.
I would imagine, I mean, obviously I haven't seen the actual numbers, but I would imagine 10, 15 years, but I'll take a look.
All right.
That's what I was anticipating for lifespan too. This is, the structure itself is a pretty robust structure. As long as someone doesn't hit it, it should be.
You mean if they're speeding and they hit it?
They don't like the image that's flashing at them, so they take it out. But I think the structure itself is pretty robust. It's a question, I think, of some of the components. The batteries may need replacement over time. I'm anticipating it's going to be around for a number of years. But
And just wondering how long the batteries will last, because, the cost is, you said it's only like $200.
I think it was a little more than 200, maybe $400 or $600.
The average lifespan was 2 years, did you say, or not? Or do we know that?
no, that was a warranty. We don't know the lifespan of the battery.
Okay, so I guess I'd like to know that as well.
I'll take a look.
Thanks.
Kathleen, do you have anything?
I think it's a great idea. I think I've fielded enough phone calls from residents also, and I'd say as far as placement and when it's out, it's best to defer to Deputy Holbrook. That's your area of expertise, and I think we can all trust you to place it where it's best needed at the time and make that rotation. So thank you for all your research. And let's just say, as far as the lifespan of these things, I mean, with my career in law enforcement, these things are around for a long time. I'd say they last 10, 15 years. Minor repairs, but they're pretty sturdy.
Thank you. Kathy?
Yeah, you said that it does not have a camera, so there's no way that it can identify individual cars, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And actually in Michigan, we can't
Right.
do photo tickets. The only thing that just recently got changed with that was the school bus violations. Those we can do photographic tickets of, we didn't personally witness it. Otherwise, we actually have to witness it to issue the citation. So even if it did have a camera, there's nothing we'd be able to do about it.
I thought Wyoming was putting in some cameras like that.
So those cameras are license plate reader cameras, where it'll pop up if there's a stolen vehicle, or if there's a vehicle where it's in the system as being attached to, say, a murder happened and that plate is attached to it, and that plate passes that camera, it would alert the police department. So that's a little bit different. That's not we're gonna issue you citations for running a red light or speeding. It's a little bit of a different thing.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarity. Also, I noticed somewhere in one of these was something to kind of minimize the mischievousness, like if people couldn't get into it and tinker with it or mess with it. And so it seems like pretty secure. Your thoughts are?
It should be.
Okay. Good, okay.
Bill?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Bill?
Yep. I'd like to thank you for looking into this technology. in this day of technology, I'm happy to see that our township is using this to save the lives of our taxpayers and to uphold our laws. And this is one way. This is going to go on in years. You're going to have much more coming as time goes by. And I'm happy to see that we're moving that way. I don't care how long it lasts, just so it does the job for a period of time that makes it worthwhile. But that we are utilizing that for saving lives and stopping and enforcing the law. So have at it, man. That's what I got to say.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Craig, I'm fine. I've seen these animals around for a long time, so it's just nice to put a tool in your toolbox. So
Absolutely.
So let's go.
In the meantime, I'll take a look at the
if you can-
lifespan.
Yeah, if you can. I don't want to portray that I'm an expert on that, but I saw some of those sitting around in the black and white shop for a lot of years. So anyway, at this point, I guess I'll just seek a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of the Stalker Radar Speedboard from Applied Concept as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Kathy. Support from Bill. Roll call vote, please.
Hey, Mrs. Morrow,
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff,
Yes.
Ms. Beatty,
Yes.
Mr. Hagedorn,
Yes.
Mr. Brinkman,
Yes.
Ms. Postma, yes, Mr. Coleman.
Yes. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
I'll still look into it, get you that answer.
And just let us know when you want our list of spots.
Yeah. all
Might
right.
be a lengthy, how many yellow dogs do you have? We'll fill it up for you.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Oh, yellow dog, sorry. Okay, new business item B. Consider authorization to prepare grant application from the Michigan National Resources Trust Fund. Approve proposal from Pine and Newhoff for grant application services. Am I turning over to Mr. Fisher?
We've had a crew patiently waiting in the wings over here, so we'll turn it over to them and give them the balance of the meeting. Is that where?
By the way, Mr. Fisher, I resisted in commenting that I know someone who has two offices that a sign could fit into one of.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for refraining.
Yes.
I would say we're saving the best for last, but can't beat the fire department ceremony tonight, so it was very, very touching, so. Or a speed radar sign, we can't beat that either, but we're gonna try. Cameron, while I'm introducing, do you think you could pull up from the consent agenda, the map for the 2021 grant? I want to just reference that in just a second here. But joining me are a couple gentlemen from Pine and Newhoff. You may look familiar to you. Got Matt Lewandowski. Matt helped us prepare the Parks and Recreation Master Plan and the Grand Rogue Park Master Plan, which you see here. So he's worked closely with the Parks and Rec Committee and myself. He also worked with us to get the grant that we were successful in getting last year, the $600,000 grant. And also with us is Scott Post from Pine and Newhoff. You all know him as our trails engineer. He's been around a little bit longer with us, and we've had great success with the Jupiter Trail and the Rockford Trail. Already get a ton of compliments on that, and they manage those projects so well. They fielded any issues or complaints or questions, sent out letters to the residents. So they're a great help and did an awesome job managing that. Made our lives very easy for the township's end. And again, we got lots of compliments on especially the new trail, the Rockford Trail. But real quick, turn on my mouse here. Want to give you a refresher keyword tonight. Thank you for approving the Pine and Newhoff proposal so we can get rolling on this grant that we're awarded. But just to put in perspective here, this first phase that we're going to start, hopefully, maybe within this year, but most likely next year. Remember, this grant's a 2-year process. We got 2 years to do it. Same with the one that we want to apply for, which we'll talk about in a minute. But real quick, we're going to pave from right about here to back here. Right here's where the old office is and the restroom, if you recall. So we're going to bring paving back here, do 45 parking spaces. We're going to do, I think it's right over here, 24 by 24 foot pavilion. And then we're going to have a accessible kayak launch down here, fishing dock, as part of that whole process. So that's phase one. And you can see we have the rest of this build out of doing additional parking over here, a kayak launch over here, or for people to get out coming down the river, and a future bridge over the river here for the trail connection up here, hopefully to the Northland Bridge trail there. And then also our master plan is to go through with the trail. There's a pathway there now, but it's gravel.
through Grand Rogue Park and then to Grand Isle Park. So that's what we're working on right now. That's, we're gonna go full steam ahead. Hopefully that'll be done by, well, it should be done by the end of 2023. So now, if we can parlay into the other map for what we want to talk about tonight, while we have the momentum, while we have, while the state, the DNR, the trust fund, while they have lots of money available and they're really focused on trails and water access, all that, we think we have a good chance to come in competitively for another grant. So it'd be very similar to what we applied for last year. So what is that? We don't know what the project is yet. We didn't want to start diving into this in depth until, one, we got your blessing to go start working on this. That's the first part I'm asking you to do, is authorized to do that. Then secondly, to approve a proposal from Pratt and Newhoff for their grant services, just like they did with us last year. And this would be to apply for the grant, prepare all the paperwork, the maps, et cetera, that's required. The application is due April 1st, so we got a month, but we can make this work. So we want to take advantage of this opportunity if the board's in agreement with it. But what I wanted to show here, and Pratt and Newhoff prepared all this, is, okay, what potential projects could we do? And so this is a company with that spreadsheet, or that table with cost estimates and all the different projects, different phases. We don't really want to focus on that tonight. We just want to give you an idea of the things that we could do, and to let us go back to the Parks and Rec Committee and do our thing, then come back to you folks with a recommendation. So that's why that group is there. But if we go back to the map real quick, Cameron, this gives you just the purpose is to give you an example of what we could do. Here's the Jupiter Trail. I'm over here on the left side there, the west. This, we don't know the exact path. Ideally, we like to go through here with the trail. There's a gentleman over here that owns this parcel right here, I think it is, and he also owns all this back here. We'd like to get the property or an easement, so we have to explore that yet. The alternative is to go down Conkle Drive here, which is only if we have to type of thing, because we've heard from some passionate residents there that don't want to see any traffic going through there, and it's not the most ideal. So keep in mind, this is just eye candy of visual aid. But coming through Grand Isle Park, I'll remind you that some of you may not know this, but Visser Brothers has an obligation with the township to provide a paved trail through Grand Isle Park. Years ago, they were penalized from the DEQ for filling in wetlands, now Eagle, over in the city of Grand Rapids. And one of the things that they had to do was to create wetlands. And so this is back when John Short was Parks Director. The township let them expand this area right here for wetlands, which we wanted to do anyways. And it helped them comply with DEQ orders. And in return, they said they would pave this. And Bill Mast from Visser Brothers, the president of Visser Brothers, is on the Parks and Rec Committee, so we have direct access. That cost, which in the table here is estimated like $184,000, we don't know if it's that exact cost, but that could also count towards our in-kind, or that just helps us complete that part of the project without having to spend our own money. So we intend to call in that coupon there. And then moving through over here to the trail, and we're talking the paved trail, 8-foot wide asphalt for this whole connection, and eventually through the remainder of the park. So we have a bunch of network of trails in there that's just the natural setting there with wood chips and all that. Those will stay within. But we want one paved trail that goes along the river up to here. We think this can be very competitive. If you did all this, the estimate is $1.2 million. Remember, we only get $300,000 max from the DNR for the property development grant. So that means we would in turn be coming up with like possibly $900,000 to do this. I'm not sure, recognizing that might be too much for the board to chew off this 2023 and 2024. Those are the things that we want to go back to the Parks and Rec Committee with and work with Cameron, looking at our capital improvement outlay budget for the next couple of years and see how that ties in. All this we will bring back to you at the end of this month for consideration with a recommendation and more specifics on this. So schedule-wise, if you give us the blessing to move forward with this and the proposal from Pratt and Newhoff, we'll get with the Parks and Rec Committee here within the next few weeks. We'd then come back to you on March 28th. You may recall from last year, the process requires that the board approve a resolution committing dollars, And we have a public hearing, public comment. We have to go through that process. That's what we bring back to you. So you're not approving any commitment of funds, other than the proposal, any commitment of funds for doing any projects tonight. That's not what we're asking for. So that's everything in a nutshell. These two gentlemen are here too, if you have any questions for them. But I think I laid everything out in the memo too, so let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Any public comments on this issue? I have to ask. No? Okay, I'll close the floor for public comment. Board discussion. Frank?
So, this is the 12,000 basically for the services to get the application going and do that.
Correct.
So, and you said this would cost up to 1.2 million if we did everything. How much can we possibly get from this grant?
The max the state will give us is 300,000.
Okay.
So last year we did 304 because we matched with 304. So just over 50%. So if you match over 50%, 51%, you maximize your points. So we did 304,000 for the 600.
So this is a kind of a matching grant?
Yes.
Okay, so they could give us up to 300,000 if we gave up to 300,000.
Well, you can, what's the minimum that you can do? 25%. We can do as low as 25%, but we're not going to get as many points, because remember, this is competitive. So if we do 51%, then we can maximize the points we get on our application, because we all get a score, all as communities and different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think that's a better, I don't want to say technique, I can't think of the right word, but you think that's the way to go with that to,
Strategy, yeah.
a better strategy, thank you, that's what I was looking for. You think that's the best strategy?
I do. In terms of that one element, how much we put towards it, there's the other things of, the other parts of the project to make us competitive, for the connection to the water, bodies of water, in this case, the Grand River and Rogue River. These projects score high compared to others that don't have rivers and bodies of water, a lake and a pond, et cetera.
So we're gonna get points for that. So that might help us to determine how much we wanna put in. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. Jack?
I appreciate your presentation. I can see in the future that our parks are gems that probably are on the forefront of the state parks. I don't know of another township that is doing what we're doing with our parks. I appreciate that. My question also was, what kind of a match do we have to do? And you answered that question. I know John Short's vision was to have connecting trail all the way to the White Pine Trail from, where was that? From Ada Trail even?
Yeah, Ada Trail down Grand River Drive is that the one you're thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We looked at the map, we looked at Ada Township's plan and where we could go all the way to our border. I don't think the Grand River Trail, and we just looked at it within the past year, we can get past a 5 mile. Going further down, beyond 5 mile, down Grand River Drive is very, very, very expensive. And then again, I pulled Ada Township's plan, and they don't have it coming to our border. So we would probably some way connect to Grand Rapids Township through down East Beltline, which then they have a trail going towards Ada, if I recall, on 3 mile possibly, at least in their plans. So, yeah, you look at our Trails Master Plan, we're going everywhere. We want to go to Belding, connect to Cannon, so yeah.
And that was another question of mine. I know that the millage for that, what is a 10-year millage?
Yeah, so 2026, we would be asking if the board wants to ask
Yeah.
to renew it.
Right. Would this proposed trail, our portion of the cost of this proposed trail come from the Trails Fund?
No, we could, but we're not proposing that at this time. We're
Okay.
proposing general fund money because we need the trails funding that we do have, the Trails Millage Fund. We need every penny we can get to finish up the Rockford Trail, the Jericho link, get us up to the White Pine. Well, I should comment on that. The Jericho Trail, just so we're aware, we can only pay for it up to the township's northern boundary. There's another 500 feet getting up to the city of Rockford. I've had just verbal conversation with Thad, the manager there, and he's expressed to me they're very much on board. He just needs to see the plans and the price. Short segment for big benefit for them. So we need a lot of money for that, and then the committee's also talked about the Rogue River Trail as being a priority too, but it's all a big network coming together. But we need the money for that, those.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jack. Susan?
A little bit of a diversion. I support all the things that you're doing, but as we do them, we are reminded, and today's a very good day of a reminder of the condition of the land within that park. I had a ride the other day around the condos that are being built in that peninsula, and I think that's a very interesting ride that all of us should go on individually to see how high the water is. And of course, where the word benches is on the map is underwater. So I am not in any way, shape, or form knowledgeable, but I'm assuming that if we put money into roads and trails, and even if it's the grant, the money from the mitigation of the wetlands, how are we going to protect that investment when we are plagued and will probably continue to be plagued with the excess water on that surface, the driving surface and the trail surface?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Scott or Matt take this one. We have, a lot of communities have trails in floodplains, correct? Floodways, et cetera. So I gotta carry the mic over to them. But one comment I wanna have is, we anticipated everything we planned out for, that there would be flooding. And it's gonna flood. It could flood 3 years in a row. One interesting thing is this winter, just last week, first time we've had to close it for the last 2 or 3 years, knock on wood. So there are winters where it's open and people have been able to walk through the thing, but could one of you answer like the construction type and how we are not gonna lose it in a flood?
Bill, I'm not trying to minimize my support for the process. I just want to know that if and when we get the grant, which we're very fortunate that we've been getting them, that we're going to build something. I know the answer is going to be a good one, because you wouldn't come here asking for it if you couldn't support those trails.
Yeah, also, so I have to have a good answer? No, yeah, it's fairly common to build paths in the floodplain like this. Ottawa County has the large sections of the Idema Explorers Trail that are right along the river, and they're underwater, for a month in the spring at times. If you can design it to really mitigate some of that damage, if you keep the path off of it, like right off the edge, so you don't have any of the edge wiping away or washing away. And then if you make sure you get good grass growing up to the edge of it, usually that really takes care of most of those type of issues. You are gonna have maintenance, you're gonna have logs, you're gonna have sticks, mud that'll probably have to be cleaned off of it at once the flooding goes back down. But typically there's no damage. There are rare circumstances where it does cause damage, and that's where you have a really, really high water table. And as the flooding goes up, it brings the water table with it. I don't think that's been an issue on any of the locations along here on the Grand River, though. It's not been in Ottawa County. So I don't anticipate that to be an issue here.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Bill, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm already talking. Bill, it seemed to me that in the plans, there was a fishing pier on the Rogue River at one time. Has that been taken out? I noticed it's in the lake over there, a fishing pier.
No, we did not. I'm not aware that we had a fishing pier on Rogue River. We have like the dock and the kayak launch planned up there where it says vault restroom, right up in this neck of the woods.
Right.
But the two docks we were talking about is right here on the lake.
Right.
The unnamed lake, which we got to name someday, and this pond right in here.
Okay,
That's
it's
what we have in the master
never
plan.
on the Rogue River, though.
Not a dock. I think we could have to do some parallel type of boardwalk thing, but No, they
Where
were
you
planning,
can fish, basically, like we can down the Versailles Park. That's a good deal there, so. And as you know, Rogue River is quite a fishery, really. Okay. I can remember when we first walked through the park, and I think Cameron can remember that too. Because at first it was hard for me to walk through it, but secondly, I saw lots of deer in there, and that's a real animal sanctuary there, and I like that idea that the people would be able to see that right in our town. It's got my vote.
All right, thank you, Bill. Kathy?
Just a quick question. So we're applying for 300,000 and we're going to match it for 300,000. If we were not to put, is that not correct?
that's to be determined. The max we can get from the grant is 300. We can match with, I mean, we can do 900,000, do the all 1.2. So the committee is going to talk about what we propose. So that could be, again, 300 max from the state. It could be more than 300 that we ask the board to approve. Could be 4 or 5. I don't want to speak for the group yet. So that's to be determined with the Parks and Rec Committee.
So you look at that total of 1.2 million, to think in a perfect world, okay, we'll just put in for 2 grants, you know, and try to get 600,000. The problem is, how do the projects score? So there's certain elements, and that's why we hire Brian Newhoff to help with this application, because they know the right language to help us score well in terms of water access and trails and whatever the high scoring items are at a given time with the state. They know the right words to use. If we try to divide it perfectly from a budget perspective, we may just have 2 weak proposals. So that's what we're gonna need their help looking at. You know, we may have 2 loser proposals if we try to just divide it in half. So we have to review and take a look at that and say, do we have 2 strong proposals separately that we could do that or not? And if we don't, then maybe we just do one and then look at how much of a match do we do? Are there pieces of this that we either do later or don't do at all? I mean, it was on our wish list, but maybe there's certain elements that we just opt not to do. So that's part of the review process.
So let me just ask one more question, sorry. So if we get the grant, we still have to go up to the 1.2 million. We can't decide to do something different if we get that grant?
We do not need to go to the 1.2. We can decide to do 3 of the 4 projects that we have on this list.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Kathleen?
Thanks for all your hard work. Really appreciate it. Our parks are looking amazing, and I love the plans that you guys have come up with. So look forward to seeing what Parks and Rec comes back and recommends. Thank you.
Oop, oop, oop. I totally agree. The community speaks loud and clear about Parks and Rec in our area, and you guys are doing a fabulous job of doing that. So I have no issues. Let's go. Let's get some more money.
Thank you.
So I seek a motion at this time.
I move to authorize staff to begin preparation of an application for a grant from the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund and approve the proposal submitted by Prine and Newhoff dated February 25th, 2022 to provide grant application services in an amount not to exceed $12,000.
Support.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Frank, for support. Roll call vote, please.
You were on it.
Mr. Hagedorn.
Yes.
Mr. Brinkman.
Yes.
Mrs. Merrill.
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff.
Yes.
Ms. Beatty.
Yes.
Ms. Postma, yes. Mr. Coleman.
Yes. All right. Next item is superintendent's comments. So Cameron, the microphone is yours.
Apparently this group gets punchy after 7:30,
Look
so.
at that. Look at that. It's
Yeah.
not even 7:30 yet.
Okay, well, we had a lot of discussion items tonight in terms of presentations, and appreciate the fire department coming in. Thank you, Chief, for, this is something he's done just in the last few years, doing this with the board. They've done kind of more of a private ceremony in the past. Appreciate you sharing that with the board, and it's always good to see the support that the fire department has for each other. So it's great to see our district chiefs here tonight, as well as some of our lieutenants who came out to support this. So thank you for that. A few things to update you. You probably noticed the Grand River is in flood stage yet. Actually crested Friday afternoon or Friday morning at 13.3 feet. Flood stage is considered 12 feet at the Comstock Park gauge. So about a foot and a third over flood stage. So that's considered minor flooding from the states or from the U.S. From NOAA's perspective. And just to put that into perspective, what 13.3 is, the 2018 flood, which was one of the 5 highest that we have recorded, was at just under 17 feet, so 16.85 feet. And then the 2013 flood, the highest crest we've ever recorded was at 17.8 feet. So significantly lower than that, but even with, feet of difference of river height, the amount that water spreads in that basin can be considerable. So last week, if you were driving along, and you can almost see it on the map that we have in front of us here, but if you're on Jupiter and Coit, there's Forest Ridge, and you don't have to get real far down last week, and it was about where this cursor is. That's about how high the water came from the river. It's just a low, flat basin there, so all these residents that live along the river here had to find other means of transportation. That flood water did freeze. I don't know if it froze hard enough for a vehicle to drive on, but it was frozen at times too. So it's something that they're quite accustomed to, and honestly, I think some of them kind of live for those kind of experiences. That's the life on the river, and some of them would have it no other way. But the flood water is receding again, and it's anticipated to be below flood stage in the next couple of days here. So we always keep an eye on that. I know our fire department does in terms of public safety. Our sewer plant does as well, because at a certain point it becomes an impact on the sewer plant as well. Fortunately, a minor flood does not in any way impact our sewer plant in a way that it has a capacity problem. So a couple other things to mention, and both of these have to do with our finance department. You saw an email from Warren Smith over the weekend that, once again, Plainfield Township has been noticed, and I've got it here with me. Received a notice from the Government Finance Officers Association that we have once again qualified for the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. So kudos to Warren and our finance staff, and really for all the everyone that works with them in terms of management staff, to make sure that all the reporting is done accurately. That includes everyone getting receipts turned in and making sure everything's documented. But congrats to Warren and our finance department again for excellence in financial reporting. I think someone had asked how many years has that been? Quite a few. Well before
19.
19. Okay, I was gonna say I think we're approaching 20 years. So next year will be the big one. 20 years of getting that award. It's recognition of quality work, right? It's recognition that they're doing all the things that should be done, and sometimes we need to recognize the mundane things like accounting and not putting down accountants. Don't worry, Jack, I wouldn't do that. So, but it's the things that often go unappreciated. But it's so important to the operations to have that a solid base of that type of work. So congratulations to them. And as of today, we will have a new member of our finance department. I'm not going to release a name yet because I don't know that they've made all the appropriate notifications on their end, but we had someone accept the job today and anticipate starting in 3 weeks. So
21st of March, I think.
Yep, 21st of March. So that will be a big relief to Warren, who has spent a tremendous amount of extra time getting things caught up and really doing the work of 2 people for a while. So excited to have someone else join that department as well. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Board member comments. I'm saving you for last. Bill?
Yep. Warren gave me the good news that a lady had accepted our offer for the assistant treasurer. Well, it's basically in the accounting department there. But she will be trained in that, so we've always done that pretty much, and that's great. Unfortunately, she comes from Kent County Road Commission.
Let's just keep that quiet for right now.
Okay, yeah, I understand, but you know what I'm saying? Because that was, they're our friends, and I just don't like to take from them. But in any event, that worked good. But I got, during the, and incidentally, the tax collection, that went very smooth this year. Had quite a bit of cash, but it went very smooth, no real big delays. The staff did an excellent job, really, and that was good. And I've seen some real Donnybrooks in that tax collection time, but this one was very good. However, one of the taxpayers handed a note to the girls, and they gave it to me, and they offered a suggestion, a plaque or statue for Wendell Briggs to acknowledge his donation of campground, new park, and his service to the township. I didn't have a chance to talk to the man or tell him that he didn't give it to us. We bought it from that. But I don't think we'll want to have a plaque or a statue up there. I mean, for that, because he didn't do anything with it. But I will take care of that. So I thought that you get a little bit of a chuckle out of that. So.
Okay, thank you. Kathy?
What a great meeting. I love having people out there. I love all the uniforms. This was super. Talk about the parks and talk about our fire department. Life's good. I love it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Kathleen?
I agree with Kathy. What a positive meeting, so thank you, everybody.
All right, Susan?
A quick report from the senior program. We have now reached 1,008 paid members of the program. That's catching up to pre-COVID numbers. This morning was registration, and that means that one person, not all of these 1,000 people are registering for different things, but one person can register for 5 or 6 different programs that they want to participate in. So the next time, when I tell you how many applications for registrations were processed, I think that without question will be easily over 1,500 applications to attend different classes and things, different events. Last week I attended the Apprentice for Life lecture at the Northview Performing Arts Center. 230 people were present, and it was a story about the boat, the Michigan, and its icebound experience. We're starting a new program called Create and Take, and so again, this is about the end of maybe their first year of doing that, and for both the publicized class is already sold out, and they're talking about an encore class, and that another 20 people, and that is also sold out. Probably the most exciting thing, well, every year the Sewing Guild, the American Sewing Guild that uses the building 1 day a week gives a donation to the senior program, and we received that check recently. And probably the most interesting thing that's happening with the seniors is that after many, many years, and I easily can say more than 20 years, they've been conducting a thing called Maggie's Attic, which is like a trunk sale, a garage sale type thing. But in their efforts to try to reduce the amount of items that are taking up space at the senior center, this March 30th and 31st will be the end of that program. And they're hoping that it will open up some more areas where they can rearrange things at the community center to meet the needs of the senior program a little bit more. I think that's all for the senior program. I found the presentation about the weeds very, very interesting. Maybe you can all watch with me. I hope this doesn't happen again, but I know it's going to. Across 5 Mile Road, somewhere up near Chandy, between Chandy and Bonneville, in there somewhere, are some telephone lines, electric lines, who knows what kind of lines they are, that cross over 5 Mile, and they are covered with some kind of a weed. And I called Cameron last spring, and he checked to make sure that that it wasn't going to cause any kind of actual disaster if these lines got so heavy with the growth that was on them. And I have no idea what the growth was, but boy, tonight was very eye-opening. And if it is in fact coming from a tree along 5 Mile on whatever side it is, and that instead of entangling the tree, it is now entangling the wires, you all can watch it happen. And, oh, Kathy, you recognize it also. It's amazing how fast it grows, amazing. And I was really pleased to think that maybe that's something that will get attention, but last year they didn't feel that it was any kind of issue, and so it didn't get attention. Anyway, thank you. Good job. I'm so glad to see the grants coming again. And my question was not negative. I just want to make sure what we do really well, and we do. Thank you.
Jack?
Last week, Deb and I went to visit the PAC, if you recall the PAC.
Yeah.
I don't know, was it this board that
Yeah.
granted
Yep.
them the liquor license? Yes. They are doing beyond all expectations.
Beyond all.
We went in there and there were dogs all over the place. It was incredible. They do a great screening process for the dogs, so they have very little problem with fighting. They've started to do events, Valentine's Day, picture with Santa Claus. He had some person that he knew play Santa Claus, and that person asked, well, how long will this be? Oh, just be an hour or two, not very much. By the time he got there, 4 hours later, they had to shut it down because there was just so many people there wanting to get a picture with their dog, with Santa Claus. So they have had visitors from Detroit and other places come and ask about it and how unique it is, and I think we struck gold. I think it's a great thing. So just wanted to let you know.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, I've been there a couple times. It's fun. I don't have a dog, but my wife and I have been there a couple times just to watch them have fun, I guess. Uh-huh. All right, Frank, so
Well, it's a cheap date, right?
I'm gonna
Watching the dogs.
let you go so that I always have the last
Well,
word.
really on a serious note, I know we all realize it, but we are so blessed in this township, from parks to planning to finance to public safety, the work that the department heads do, as well as their staff, as well as this board. Everyone puts in the work and everyone's dedicated and everyone has a high level of integrity. And I don't need to tell you that you don't see that everywhere. So I think it's worth noting that we are truly blessed and that we can't take it for granted.
Thanks, Frank. Jen, Craig left. Did he have anything further on, I know Frank and Jack had questions about longevity. Did he research any of that, or?
His search was inconclusive at this point, but he was going to continue on and find the answer.
Thank you. Okay. Just a couple things maybe that I could bring you up to speed on as far as our governance committee. We spent some time here last week and interviewed 3 really good candidates. And tonight on our consent agenda, we placed Dennis Cardoza onto the Planning Commission. Dennis currently serves on the ZBA. We feel like he'll be a really good addition to the Planning Commission. The other 2 candidates, we will find a home for them. They bring really good resumes to the table, so we've got that in motion. As part of that day, we also met with the chair of the Historical Preservation Committee. I think from my perspective, we have a committee or 2 that is just kind of meandering. So without goals, without direction from the board, we met with the chair. We think it's a great opportunity for both sides to let them explore the possibility of becoming a society or some kind of an organization outside the umbrella of the township. And we're not gonna walk away from them. We're gonna support their efforts. We're gonna help them on that journey. But we just kind of all agreed in the room, and I think, quite frankly, Brian was excited about the opportunity. I've heard from the vice chair since, she is as well. So it'll free them up to do the kind of things that really they should and that they want to do, that's hard for us. Okay? So just so we're all aware of what we have going on there. We have other committees and groups that we still need to work on and fill vacancies on. And we have our foot on the gas pedal a little bit to do those things. So, Frank, were you going to ask me something? Okay, very good. Yeah, with that, I guess I'm good. We're adjourned.